Hello, 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 family. How are you? First, I just want to check in. I hope that you, as well as your loved ones, are taking care each and every day as best you can, that you are safe and that you are well. It is so good to be with you. We took a little bit of a hiatus for the month of August, needed some time to rest, needed some time to replenish and restore, and to give thought to how Rooted Blossoms will be pivoting even more to be of more service and of deeper ministry to the collective. There is so much going on, and understanding what our role is as a private practice in the world of service and ministry by way of practices of stillness. The idea is, how are we making it better, or at least a little bit easier, to be able to move in and through the times that we're moving in through. So I am excited. I'm excited about the rest of this year of our offerings, and also what we hope to be offering in 2021. So I encourage you to definitely go to our website, www.rootedblossoms.com, and check us out in terms of upcoming events for the rest of 2020. With that being said, I'm excited to be recording episode 14, like we said before, reading 6 of the Rooted Reading series, and inspired. The title of the chapter that we're reading is Be Courageous, Not Silent, being inspired by the actions of others. The idea of those that go before us to set footprints, if you will, for us to follow, for us to study, and maybe not necessarily follow exactly, but they do pave the trail for us. And it's important for us that we give homage to them, that we understand the importance of their role and position in our lives. And not only our individual lives, but as a community, those that we deem as trailblazers. And so there are 2 names that come to mind when I think about that of being courageous and not silent. One whose life she probably would not have known all of what she represents to so many, but she does, and her name is Breonna Taylor. And I'll say her name again, Breonna Taylor. A life that we know was cut short, but in the grand scheme of things, she has illuminated even more the need for a call to action in terms of justice, particularly as it relates to Black and brown bodies, and more specifically, Black women. And it's important that we say that. And so by the time that you hear this podcast, it would have been roughly 6 months since her murder. And there has yet to be an arrest. While people have been fired, they have not been arrested. And so we still have much more work to do in reference to this. And she continues to inspire as much as the other lives that have been claimed in such a violent way, and the violence being perpetuated upon Black women. She has been claimed, and she paid the ultimate sacrifice in terms of her life, but yet she inspires. And we cannot forget her name, as well as the names of other Black women that have suffered the same type of treatment and ultimately sacrificing their lives. And then on the other side of the spectrum, a Black woman that inspires is the Honorable Senator Kamala Harris, being the vice presidential nominee for the Democratic Party. And for me, it's not a matter of whether you're Republican or Democratic, but it's about representation. And she inspires. And so with those two names being in my spirit, I was just inspired in terms of this particular reading and what it meant. But not only those two names of the everyday women who are extraordinary that I encounter that have paved the way for me with my mother and my grandmothers and my aunts and my cousins, the women of the church, my women friends, my sister friends, throughout the journey of my life, my spoons, as I call them, my yogi sisters, my community of like healers. They are the ones that inspire me. And they do this every single day of engaging, of being present, of handling, of doing, of telling their stories by way of just living. And so they paved the way for me to be able to do what I do and to be who I am. And so I am so internally grateful for them. They help me see what the possible is. They help me connect with the sacred dreams within me. And I have a responsibility to make sure that I am fulfilling that as best as I know how, as authentically as I know how. And so, with that being said, I am excited to be doing this particular reading, Chapter 7 of Dr. Trent's book. And so, please enjoy. We welcome you to share this. We welcome your comments as well. With that being said, let's get to reading. Chapter 7. Be courageous, not silent. Inspiring action and opportunity. I often say that whatever we do to ourselves, we do to the world. When you educate and empower an individual, especially a woman, you have potentially awakened a champion who will change the world. This is not just empty rhetoric. There is well-documented proof. As Kofi Annan, the former UN Secretary General, said, "Study after study has taught us there is no tool for development more effective than the empowerment of women." Empowered women change the world for the better. You might not know it from what you see or hear in the media, but all around us, in ways big and small, when women refuse to stay silent, they change the world. Whether through making your mind up to change old habits, marching in the streets, writing a letter, making big or small life changes, or engaging in social media, women across the globe are rooting deeply and speaking bravely to themselves, to their families, and to the world around them. And they are making waves. As they do, these women pathfinders lay a footprint whose impact invokes and awakens untapped potential to both young and old, regardless of their gender, race, and class. These trailblazers not only become the fertile ground for seeding our potential, but also become the architectural templates of inspiration, a source of faith, enabling others to rise against their own silencing. "It's hard to be what you can't see," said Marian Wright Edelman, founder and president of the Children's Defense Fund. Our dreams have to originate from the deepest rooted parts of ourselves. They need creative space to grow. They have to be nourished by community, and they must be supported by faith. We also need role models if we are to put our dreams into action, if we are to overcome all the forces that silence us. We need them to keep the spark going. If we are to act in service of our goals, it helps to see the footprints laid out before us and to be familiar with the known and unknown hands reaching back to pull us forward. This truly speaks to our connectedness, our Ubuntu, or the essence of our humanity. Knowing that we exist because of others, and it is our collectiveness that strengthens us. We need to know that every little step we take toward our sacred dreams makes us a part of a global collective. And yet, there is always that invisible stretch of road full of challenges that holds us back. Invisible stretch of road. There is an invisible stretch of road that lies between the idea of our dreams and the finishing mark of achieving them. This pathway is entrenched with barriers and potholes that seem to increase in depth as we women get closer and closer to claiming the prize. These barriers are universal, and we feel them deeply, but they are not identical across space and time. Each woman faces her own impassable stretch of road in her own way. Who are the champions who faced their own pervasive stretch of road and succeeded? My sisters, what are the inspirational stories that will awaken us from our own silencing and make our challenges feel recognized and help us to map out how to cross the rocky terrains that leads us to our dreams? Who are these giants whose stories remain a song in our souls, reminding us that it is achievable? Can we find them and let their energy invigorate our passion? And do they have to be celebrities or extraordinary individuals? Or could they also be unknown grandmother whose ancient call becomes our source of inspiration? An elderly woman in your community who gained perspective from her own struggles and now inspires others to dream big? Or a mother whose resilience has become a torch for others to shine on their possibilities? Or perhaps an unlikely, ordinary individual doing some extraordinary things to uplift others? Our ability to effectively navigate the invisible stretch of road is improved if we look to those who have gone before us, pioneering leaders and everyday heroines, for inspiration and guidance. Thank you again for supporting and listening to the podcast. I am so pleased to announce that the podcast is now available on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Consider leaving a rating or review. Also, please consider sharing the podcast with others that may like or benefit from the content being shared. Both would be appreciated and help in growing the podcast. Should you want to connect, email me at rootedblossoms@gmail.com or visit my website at www.rootedblossoms.com. This and more information about today's episode and Rooted Blossoms can be found in the show notes. This podcast could not happen without you, the listeners, as well as the work and support of Gwendolyn Wren, cover design, James Derrick, audio content editing, Donald Goines and Nicholas Graham, sound. Until we connect again, remember to make time for soulful communion and healing connection of breath, body, and spirit.